Hey, what's going on, fellas? How we doing? Matt Antonelli here. Today, answering your questions. Today's question is on player-coach relationships or player-manager relationships. What it's like, how much you actually interact with your manager. What are they like? I'll talk to you about some of the managers that I've had. I'll talk about some of the major league managers, although I only played in the major leagues for the Padres. I was in big league spring training with a couple different teams and was in a lot of big league games in spring training with multiple teams. And so I had interactions with a lot of managers you guys have probably heard of, and so I'll give you my thoughts on that as well. So let's start off with just in general player manager relationships. Honestly, depends on the manager, right, and on the player a little bit. I've played for some managers that don't talk very much at all to the players, right? You come in, you see the lineup, you go play the game, the manager's on the bench. In the minor leagues, he's coaching third. And that's really it. He's evaluating you, right? He may teach you a little bit if something happens, after a game or during a game. And that's really it. You don't get to know them super well. You just play the game for them and you go home, okay? And that's happened to me a couple times in my career. I've played for managers that are super friendly. They're like your best friend, okay? Really nice guys. They literally, they'll tell you they have their door open, come and see them, and you can go and see them whenever you want. They'll be in the clubhouse sometimes. They're going to come up to you and say, hey, what's up, buddy? How's your day going? Like, what's going on, man? How are things going? I had Ron Johnson one year in AAA. Awesome guy. Was like one of the guys. Talked to everybody. When we're taking bus trips, he's shooting the shit with the players. He's, it's almost like he's part of the team, like he's one of the players, right? And I've had managers like that. So I've had it both ways, and I've had some managers that don't say much at all, but are really good managers I've learned a lot from. So I don't know if one way is better than the other. I just think there's different ways to approach it, and both can be successful. I'll talk. One thing I will say about that is it's actually interesting how, if you're playing really well, like usually you end up liking the manager more because not everyone, but a lot of the times they end up seeming to like you more, right? But if you're playing if you're horseshit, then, there's some years I was really struggling. You're like invisible for some guys. Like you don't really talk to the manager at all. And so a little bit has to do with how you're playing also. Not with every manager, but with some managers, that's how it goes. So let me talk about some major league managers that I had and my interactions with them, just to give a little bit of a behind the scenes look at them. So the only manager I actually played for in a major league game is Buddy Black with the San Diego Padres. And, I experienced Buddy through big league spring training for multiple years and then my time up in the major leagues. And, he was, one of those managers that was amazing with as far as communicating with you. So I thought he was one of the best as far as, everybody I think wanted to play hard for Buddy because he was such a good guy. He really cared about his players. You felt like he really cared about you. The thing that stood out to me the most about him is that he knew everybody, whether you were like the best player on the team or if you were a player that just came up for one day in spring training to fill in and you had number 98 on the back of your jersey. Like I just felt like he knew everyone. He made everyone feel like they were part of the team and made everyone feel like they were special. And he just seemed to know everything about you. One of the things that he did that I thought was really interesting, and when I was playing, I used to, take notes on. I knew I was going to be a coach one day, and so I used to take notes on like everything. So like, after a practice or a game or whatever, like I'd just jot down like things that maybe Buddy had said to the team or how we said it or something that we did. And, I went back and looked at my notes, and there were a lot of notes about how, he would just, during either spring training practices or before games in the big leagues, he'd just kind of roam in the outfield and he'd just stop by and like talk to players and just like see how they were doing and ask them how, not just how they were doing, but like how their family was doing. And I feel like he knew people's, like he remembered like when you told him that something happened to a family member, like I feel like he remembered that. and he'd ask you like, how's this person doing? How's that person doing? Which was something I hadn't really had or seen with a lot of managers before, right? And I remember when I first got up to big league camp, like, again, I was a high pick, but he didn't really know me, and I hadn't done anything on the major league team. And like I said, he just makes you feel like you're part of the team, even when you're not part of the team, even when you're just coming up randomly, like in a, really early, like my first year getting drafted, I played in a couple of major league spring training games, and again, I'm a nobody, and it just makes you feel welcome, which is important, I think, in a major, like when you're first coming up. Not only coming up, but just when you're first being transitioned over to a major league, spring training game, and you feel a little bit uncomfortable and out of place because you don't know the guys. It's nice when the manager does that, and so that's something I took from him that I thought was really, really cool. Other managers I ran into in the major leagues, with the Washington Nationals, Jim Riggleman was our manager, and again, I wasn't in big league camp with them. But I played in a lot of games. I felt like they were always sending me over to big league camp. And I didn't get into a ton of games. I mean, I probably got, I don't even know how many at-bats I got that spring with them, maybe like 10 at-bats or something like that. But I was at a lot of games, and I just kind of sat there, and I was, I guess, an emergency player. If something happened, I'd go into the game, or I'd go in and get a pinch hit in the ninth inning, or I'd go play defense in the seventh, eighth, and ninth. But like there, I never spoke with our manager ever. Like, I don't even know if I said hello to him or if he said hello to me. I don't think he probably even knew who I was. And so, that was a little bit different. So, like I said, and with Buddy Black, I feel like, I'd always watch him. He'd talk to all the young guys, right? He'd come by, they're sitting on the bench or in the game, he'd come over and just say something to them. And when I was with Nationals, it didn't really happen. And so that was, one of the big differences. Again, not saying that one's better than the other or one's the right way to do it, one's the wrong way, just a difference that I noticed. And so, even though I played a decent amount of games in spring training, kind of felt weird. Like I almost felt like I wasn't really part of the team at all, which again, I wasn't on the team, but I was at the games and I was helping out the team. So, also played for Baltimore Orioles. Now I was in big league spring training with them, and I was on the 40-man roster, and I was fighting to make a roster spot at the end of the year to make the major league club, or at the end of spring training. We have Buck Showalter, and for him, again, he was, my experience with him was an interesting one. The one I always tell people that I remember is, I was sitting on the bench watching the game. I wasn't starting that day at spring training, and something happened. I think it was first and third, and they stole, and they threw the ball down to second base, and our second baseman, caught the ball. Whatever, a play happened, and all of a sudden I got tapped on my shoulder, and it was Buck, and he was like, if you're in the game right there, what are you doing on that play? And thankfully I was watching the play. And so I just told him, I would, this is the situation, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I would do. And he just said, okay, good. And he went and sat down. And that's what I remember most kind of about, when people say, what was Buck Showalter like? I feel like super prepared, knows every situation, works on every situation, and is always coaching players, just like that experience right there. So, I'm not even in the game. I didn't even make the team, right? I got sent to AAA, never made the big league team, never played a big league game for them. But I thought that was interesting that he came up to me and asked me what I would do in that situation. Again, something I wrote down when I took my notes and said, that's something that I would like to do. Not only are you keeping players in the game, but you're making guys that aren't in the game feel important. I do see you here. You're not invisible. So I always thought, I enjoyed my experience with him, even though it was only for 2 months in spring training. And then the only other major league manager I played for a couple games spring training was Terry Francona. I was with the Indians my last year. And I wasn't with them for a ton of games, but the games I was with them with, my reaction or his reaction with the team was amazing, the most laid back, fun guy ever. He was always laughing. Everyone was always cracking jokes on each other, and he's cracking jokes on the players. And, there was a lot of shit talking. And it was just a really fun, laid-back, loose atmosphere. And, you know, again, when I think about him, I don't know how he knew this. We were playing my first game that I got sent over to the big league team to play in. You know, I was waiting on, not on deck, but right before on deck, in the hole, whatever you want to call it. And he was kind of sitting up you know, watching the game. And, you know, he turned over to me and he said, you know, I didn't talk to him before the game because in spring training, you kind of, you know, you work out all day in spring training at practice, and then you just kind of get sent over quick for the game. So there's not a lot of time. You're not around the manager a lot, especially if you're not in big league camp and you get sent over for a game. And he was just like, hey, he's like, what's going on, buddy? I said, nothing. How are you doing? And he said, you're a Boston guy, huh? And I said, yeah. You know, grew up a big Red Sox fan. And we started talking for like a quick second, like in the middle of the game. And, you know, something really simple again. I only played, I think, like 3 or 4 games in big league camp that year. I was in AAA, you know, I was with the AAA team the whole time. But again, something simple that he, you know, knew who I was, knew something about me, and had a conversation with me. Seems really small, but again, in Major League Camp, when you have, you know, I think it's very easy to just, you know, you've got your 25 guys that are going to make the team, or say at least your 40 guys that are going to be the 40-man roster. It's very easy to probably just take care of those guys and worry about those guys and not worry about the other guys that are coming up, you know, the peons that are coming up. But I think it's important when, you know, when guys do that, when a manager says, this guy's here for my team, he's in our organization, and even though he's in AAA, like, you know, he could potentially come and help the team at some point this year. And I never got that chance, obviously. But, you know, he could very easily just watch the game and said, you know, let this bum go up here and get, you know, whatever, who cares? But he didn't. And so, you know, I thought that was really interesting. And that goes pretty much with what I expected from him, because he was such a, you know, people say he's a player's coach. And I could definitely see that when I was there. I mean, he gets to know the players. I think he gets the best out of the players because I think they want to play hard for him, right? And he understands his players. He probably understands, you know, what they need to hear, when they need to hear it. And you get that through communicating with your guys and really getting to know your guys. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight into some of the managers, into the relationship between managers and players. And it's always different. There's no one way. You know, every team I played for was different. Every manager was different. Some managers scream and yell at you. I've had managers that, you know, get on you and, you know, call me into the office and rip me, you know, for different things. And I had managers that were great and, you know, I shouldn't say great, were different and wouldn't do that, right? And, you know, if you messed up, they talk to you, right? But they wouldn't rip into you. I had some managers that wouldn't say anything to you when you messed up. So, you know, I played 8 years total, and during those 8 years, I played for 5 different organizations, but, you know, for multiple teams, because a lot of those years I was playing on one team, and then I get moved out halfway through the year, or I get traded to a new team or claimed by another team. So, you know, I moved around a lot and played for a bunch of different managers. There's no one way to do it. Everyone's a little bit different. So let me know if you have any questions. Hopefully that helps answer that question. I've been getting that a bunch lately. Subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already. Share the video with all your friends. Give it a thumbs up. Like the video. I'd really appreciate that. Check out our Instagram page, Antonelli Baseball, and our Twitter feed, Man879, where I post videos all the time for you guys. Check out the description box below, where I've posted a bunch of links to books and training tools we've been using with all of our players. Check out our website, AntonelliBaseball.com, where you can find out how to work with us and be part of our teams. And that's all I got, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you later.